Here's a look at today's headlines across Houston. Hello, I'm Lynn Cannon. Border security construction in Big Bend National Park drawing strong opposition from local residents and officials. Republican Senator John Cornyn urging the Department of Homeland Security to speak with local leaders before construction moves forward. So this week, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner met families to hear their concerns. Our Anieli Ruiz has more from West Texas.
Well, that's right. Commissioner Rodney Scott is here in West Texas getting input from local leaders on what border security should look like. It's an issue they say has united Texans no matter the party.
This is something that I think has brought a community of both liberals and conservative people together.
Many are saying they don't want a wall in Big Bend, and that's why the Border Patrol Commissioner Rodney Scott came to West Texas. He's paused construction activity in the national park, and now he's meeting with local leaders to hear their concerns firsthand. It's a meeting local sheriffs say they welcome.
A lot of other people are making these decisions from cubicles. Rely on your folks that are down here on the ground, the Border Patrol agents, the men and the women of Border Patrol, your local law enforcement.
They recognize that border security is needed, but they believe there are other ways to secure the border.
I think we understand the ability to secure the border in ways that don't require a physical barrier and that destroys our natural habitat.
I have to go to Big Bend, and she said, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Houston."
And for Brewster County Sheriff Ronnie Dodson, much of the Big Bend falls within his jurisdiction. It's an area he served for nearly 30 years. And his biggest worry.
Our main concern is a road that's being cut through the park right now, and we gave them an alternative, and they really accepted it pretty much. They put the hold on all construction in the park.
These local leaders are hoping their concerns don't stop at this meeting, but make it all the way back to Washington. Well, the border commissioner is not done yet. In a post on social media, he said tomorrow he'll head to Big Bend Park to see their suggestions out in the field. We've reached out to Washington asking for an interview with him, but have not heard back. In Alpine, Anieli Ruiz, KHOU 11 News.
A 10-year-old girl riding an electric scooter is seriously hurt in a crash, once again raising alarms about children riding high-speed electric bikes and scooters. Devon Raming joining us with the new video and the push to keep these devices away from kids.
Well, this has been an issue for many law enforcement officers for quite some time now, considering many of these e-bikes and e-scooters can rival the speed of cars and can be dangerous in the hands of a child as young as 10 years old.
In this 6-second clip, you can see a red minivan driving down this neighborhood street moments before the crash. At the same time, the 10-year-old little girl is riding her electric scooter toward the intersection, running through a stop sign. Deputies say she entered the intersection of Lincoln's Meadow Drive and Duke's Run Drive without stopping and was then hit by the van. She suffered significant injuries and bleeding. Deputies applied a tourniquet at the scene before she was taken to a Woodlands area hospital for treatment, but was then transferred to a hospital downtown Wednesday morning due to the extent of her injuries. The driver remained at the scene and is cooperating with investigators, and now law enforcement is using this crash to renew its warning about young children riding electric bikes and scooters.
It's very dangerous. Parents shouldn't be buying them for their kids, so they're not legal on any roads, sidewalks, or trails. They're only legal on your own private property or your deer lease or private places like that. So we really wanted them off the routes to school, and we're very fortunate that Katy ISD and Lamar listened to us and ban them from their campuses.
The constable says the concern is not just whether a child understands the rules of the road, it's also the speed these electric rides can reach and whether a young rider has the experience and reaction time to handle that speed around traffic. That's why some law enforcement and school leaders are pushing for restrictions, including keeping them off school campuses and away from routes to school.
Meanwhile, several school districts have banned these e-bikes and e-scooters on their campuses already here in our area, including Katy ISD as well as Lamar. In Houston, Devon Raming, KHOU 11 News.
Two young sisters are being called heroes after alerting their family when they noticed a fire at their neighbor's place. They wasted no time jumping into action, giving that family enough time to escape. Happened early Monday morning up in Montgomery County. Matt Doherty is talking to the sisters.
The family was asleep when the fire spread from the garage to their attic. If it wasn't for the girls next door, this story would likely have a tragic ending.
They did have working smoke detectors, but the fire started in the garage. It spread through the breezeway into the attic space.
The South Montgomery County Fire Department Assistant Chief Adam Moore says the couple and their infant child had no way of knowing an inferno was raging just above their ceiling as they slept. This could have been tragic.
It could have been.
At 2:30 Monday morning, 5-year-old Ava and 9-year-old Mia.
It sounded like if you were up close to a microwave and popcorn was in it popping.
Were awoken by the sounds coming from next door.
Our bedrooms are across, so we met in the hallway.
Then the girls went to find their mom and dad.
Mia opened the door, we saw it.
Yeah, what did you think?
It was so big, it was almost close to our house.
Was it kind of scary?
Yeah, it was scary.
As the girls' mom called 911, their dad went next door to wake up the neighbors and get them outside. Mia watched from her house and prayed. What did you pray for?
That they'd get out safely and no one was injured.
The prayers of the 9-year-old were answered. The couple and their infant got out of their home just in time, and nobody was hurt. Firefighters say the girls are the ones who saved the night, and likely their neighbors. If it wasn't for them, this may have been a tragedy. In Oak Ridge, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
Bravo to those sisters. Houston landlords will now be required to provide air conditioning to all tenants. The City Council approving the new mandate on Wednesday, despite concerns the cost could be passed on to residents. Here's KHOU 11's Troy Kless.
In 3rd Ward, Cheryl Henderson is celebrating change.
Thank you, Jesus.
Henderson has asthma and COPD, living on a fixed income.
To circulate the heat.
The fan on the ceiling, on the floor, and these window units can cool, but parts of her unit are still warm.
But when it's hot in here, I can't do it. And you can see I'm sweating right now just standing in here.
Window units sealed with duct tape to keep hot air out. But with fans and AC units running 24/7, there's a cost.
My light bill now is $199.98.
Part of why opponents of the bill are concerned. Councilmember Fred Flickinger telling us he believes landlords will simply raise rent for providing AC.
The people who are already renting these apartments are the ones that can probably least afford anything else. Because of that, some of them are going to end up homeless.
A similar ordinance passed in Dallas, Austin, and Denton. Councilmember Alejandra Salinas, who drafted the ordinance, is responding to critics.
The reality is that many cities have adopted this ordinance without an impact on the affordability of housing because the landlords understand they have to work with their tenants, and this is a basic health and safety requirement.
It's a reality facing thousands of renters in Houston. A tenant on Robinson's property has central air while she doesn't. She knows others who deserve a way to stay cool.
This is survival for us. It's not, say, materialistic. It is survival. Because heat like this that we have outside, it's hot out there right now.
Troy Kless reporting there. That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. Carmelo Anthony is serving 35 years in prison after being convicted of murder in Austin Metcalf's death. On Wednesday, Anthony's legal team argued the trial judge should be removed, and a visiting judge agreed to do so. Joe Puneker is at the Collin County Courthouse to show us what this means.
A new judge is seated to hear Carmelo Anthony's post-conviction hearings. Judge Sid Harrell ruled today that the judge who presided over the murder trial is recused. The judge said today's decision was not based on judicial violations or canons. He did not find any, but based on a very simple test, whether an outside person could think Judge Roach could be fair and impartial. Now, the new defense team led by Russell Wilson played a video interview WFAA did with Judge Roach days after the sentencing. Judge Roach said repeatedly that he, quote, followed the law. Now, Carmelo Anthony was in court today. He was in a green jumpsuit. He was in cuffs as he walked in. The attorneys asked the deputies to remove those cuffs for the hearing, and they did. Carmelo! The Anthony and Metcalf families were also in court. There was also a large contingent of Anthony supporters who celebrated the recusal.
He didn't want to accuse the judge of any formal canon violations, which is a whole separate matter, but concerning the motion for a new trial, he's no longer qualified.
Which is a victory for the Carmelo supporters. There's no doubt that they're happy because technically that's probably the first victory they've had in this case since it started, but it doesn't really change the landscape of what's next.
And what is next is the motion for a new trial. That will be heard by retired Kaufman County Judge Michael Chitty. That hearing is set for Thursday morning at 9 a.m. In McKinney, I'm Joe Plenty.
Charges have been upgraded to murder for the man accused of killing a father in Fort Worth. Cody Scott was shot to death last year, leaving behind a 6-month-old daughter. Brittany Costello spoke with Scott's family to give us a look at the future he never got to see.
There's a little blue cross on East Barry at Edgewood Terrace.
This has been a very difficult year.
It's a place of grief and love for Reverend Patrick Moses of First Missionary Baptist Church and the Scott family. The very spot 32-year-old Cody Scott lost his life 1 year ago. Moses is the family's spokesperson.
There's still no clarity on any of this.
Police say Scott was allegedly shot and killed by local musician Christopher Blanton Jr. The up-and-coming country artist claimed self-defense, but is now facing a murder charge.
This family wants him to be held accountable from the angle of serving time, as much time as possible in the Texas Criminal Department of Justice.
Accountable to a now 1-year-old little girl who will grow up without her father.
I just believe that he is looking down from heaven Sunday after Sunday.
Scott's family and fiance say the last year without Scott has meant many missed milestones, like his daughter Chloe's first steps and being there for her first birthday.
We have decided to do everything to ensure that she always know that her father is ever present in her life.
While his family says his memory and his life-sized picture are part of their daily lives, they know it will never be the same.
Is a lot of weight on the family.
Tonight, family members will have a vigil at 7:30 at Cedar Hill Cemetery. That's where he was buried. They are asking friends and family members to join in honoring his life. We reached out to Blanton's attorney for comment. He has not responded. In Fort Worth, I'm Brittany Costello.
A 5-year-old girl died after being left in a hot car. In Garland, police told Luke Clary first responders did all they could to save her.
A Garland police officer just told me that these are the most difficult calls that first responders will ever receive. And in these hot temperatures, a tragic reminder that parents have to be vigilant. It was more than 100 degrees in Garland Tuesday when police say a driver brought 2 kids home from school. One child got out, a 5-year-old girl didn't and died.
There are no words to describe how devastating this can be.
Garland police are now investigating how it happened. No charges have been filed. The family told detectives it took some time to realize she was still in the car.
They started looking everywhere, right? Like you would a child. And then they started looking outside. Is she out there playing? Where's she at? And then somebody located her still in the vehicle.
A family member was doing CPR when first responders arrived. Police say the girl may have been in the car for hours. Imagine sitting in a parking lot and cutting the engine. You know, once the air conditioning goes off, it doesn't take long to get really hot. Police say that little girl was in the car for hours.
It was definitely fatal very quickly.
Kids in Car Safety says this is at least the 23rd hot car death in the U.S. this year. The nonprofit has tracked nearly 1,200 since 1990.
Most of these cases are a mix of stress or fatigue and then a change in routines. This is not a lapse of love, it's just a lapse of memory. And, this could really happen to anyone.
That's why safety advocates say the best protection is to build a reminder into every trip. Because in this heat, minutes matter. In Garland, I'm Luke Clary.
The New World screwworm outbreak is making it harder for Texas shelters to get pets into new homes. 44 states have restricted the movement of pets from infested areas, leaving overcrowded shelters in Texas scrambling to find more foster homes. Shelters say more dogs and cats could be euthanized if they can't free up more room.
We try to transport those animals to shelters that have a lower demand out of state, whether that's in the Northeast or the Northwest, for example. Recently, though, some of those transports has either slowed down or halted.
out of a response due to the screwworm.
Just for context, last year Texas sent nearly 89,000 dogs and 53,000 cats to other states for adoption. So it's clearly a critical part of the state's animal rescue system. Shelters in North Texas are overflowing and asking for help. It's not exactly breaking news to say New York City has some of the best food in the world. As Sean Giggy reports, one of the top burgers in Brooklyn is making its Dallas debut.
Is this the best burger in Dallas? It might be. It's already been named one of the best in the Big Apple.
It's true. The New York Times said this is absolutely
delicious.
Inspired by the Cuban food she grew up eating, Chef Eve Aronoff Fernandez opened the first Frita Batidos 16 years ago. This is her fourth and the first in Texas. Open now in North Dallas. Frita Batidos features Fritas, burgers, and Batidos, tropical milkshakes. So how does Cuba's version of burgers and shakes stand out?
So like ripe and lush and flavorful.
Which may be why the New York Times raved about the chorizo Frita, just one of the many burger options to go with the numerous Batidos. Want something different? Try their take on a Cubano, churros, fried plantains, or something they call the best snack ever. Whatever you order, it's Cuban culture come alive.
Like you're cooking at home with like your mom or your grandma or whoever.
They really do want you to feel like family. In fact, while I was here, almost every employee welcomed me by name.
We just really want to bend over backwards to take care of people and not just say that.
And they hope the food makes you feel just as welcomed.
It was a very good burger, so I would definitely come back and have another one.
But is it the best burger in Dallas?
As any good Texan knows, don't take New York City's word for it. Come try it yourself.
Well, the 2026 Michelin Guide Texas selection will be revealed about 7 weeks from now. Only 2 restaurants in North Texas earned a star last year. Mamani was the only new restaurant to earn a star. It's a French-Italian spot in uptown Dallas. And sushi restaurant Tatsu retained the star it initially earned in 2024. We'll find out which restaurants earned the prestigious honor October 8th. No local restaurants have earned 2 or 3 Michelin stars so far. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
Well, Texas, we just bake for the next several days. A dome of high pressure parked over the state. We'll have heat alerts up for Thursday afternoon. Dallas under a heat warning. You may have heat index values over 111, 112, 113 or above, with high temperatures 105 or so. And then in the orange, it's a heat advisory, and that means you've got heat index values up to about 107, 108. So all hot weather precautions, teachers, coaches, parents, especially those kiddos, are susceptible to heat like this. Really, we all are. And the culprit is that dome of high pressure, which is just dominating Texas and the desert Southwest on Thursday. You know, the center backs off a little bit on Friday, Saturday, but it really doesn't move far enough away for us to get out from under its influence. We stay firmly in the grip of the heat dome, and look at this, it even kind of slides back going into Sunday and Monday. So for the foreseeable future, we are under the dome in Texas. Temperatures, Thursday afternoon, Lubbock 102. Del Rio 101, San Antonio 103, Dallas 108, Oak City 106, Houston modeling says 102. So it is going to be very hot across the state Thursday afternoon. Friday morning, a lot of areas struggling to drop even to the 80-degree mark. Dallas, a morning low in the mid to upper 80s is possible. 82 Houston, Del Rio 80. These are morning lows. And then we go into the afternoon Friday, and again we roast. Dallas 110, San Antonio 102, Lubbock 102, Midland 100 on Friday afternoon. What about rain? Well, when you got heat like that in the heat dome, your rain chances are slim to none. Thursday afternoon, maybe a stray thunderstorm, Lubbock to Amarillo. That's it. Could last until 8, 9 o'clock. Maybe an isolated storm up here on the high plains, but that's it. Then Friday morning, we're quiet. I mean, modeling is saying there's a little boundary here with a stray shower for the Arklatex, 6 a.m. Friday morning. Friday afternoon, very slim chances. Further out on the edge of that dome, you may get better rain chances. You got to go to New Orleans and Biloxi, Mississippi, and Mobile, Alabama to get a better chance for a thunderstorm as they're on the edge of that dome out there. But not us. Looking further out in time, we roast in Texas and the desert Southwest above normal temps through the end of the month, and no help with the rain, dry and hot through the end of the month for most of the state of Texas. And quite often this time of the year, the only way we break a heat wave is with a tropical system rolling in to give us wind and rain and clouds and a break in the heat wave, and it usually will change the weather pattern, especially going into fall. But at the moment, Hurricane Center says nope, no development expected across the tropical Atlantic, including the Gulf and the Caribbean, for the next 7 days. All right, so that's where we stand, Texas. Stay cool.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. An investigation is underway after a man was shot on the far southwest side on Wednesday. Police say the man was riding his bike when he was shot. Vanessa Croy has the latest.
Police tell us the man was riding his bike when someone in a gray SUV pulled up and shot him. And now investigators have quite the whodunit mystery to solve. They tell us they can't find the bike, they can't find a crime scene, and don't yet know if this shooting was random. Police were called out to the 5400 block of Goddick Drive just before noon for reports of a man shot in the leg. Officers say the 44-year-old victim told them he was riding his bike about a block away when a gray SUV pulled up and someone inside fired a single shot, hitting him in the leg. The man somehow made his way to Goddick Drive, where neighbors rushed out to help.
I heard her screaming, "Call 911, call 911, I got shot."
But exactly what happened before that moment is still unclear. Police say the victim told them he doesn't know who shot him or why. Investigators also don't know whether he lives in the area. And despite searching nearby, officers say they couldn't find his bicycle or the location where the shooting actually happened, leaving investigators with a big question to answer. Was this a random shooting, or was this man specifically a target? One neighbor says gunshots, though, are not uncommon in the area.
Because it's very frequent that the shooting in the corner. Yes, it's very frequent that happens. So I just concerned that a bullet's gonna come on top of us, in our head or something. That's my concern.
According to police, the victim is expected to be okay. We asked if they have a description of the suspects. They tell us they're still trying to figure that out. Vanessa Croy, KENS 5.
An alleged prison smuggling attempt turned into an hours-long search in Hondo. Police used canines, drones, and ATVs to find 2 men accused of tossing cell phones over a prison fence. But a civilian's tip helped lead officers to them. Simone Simpson has a story.
The search began early Friday morning before 8 after a prison employee of the Ruben and Torres unit saw 2 men allegedly tossing a box full of cell phones over the facility's fence and running off.
So our officers set up a perimeter around the area.
That's Hondo Police Chief Justin Souza.
Our officers then deployed canines in assistance with the Medina County Sheriff's Office and TDCJ. They were able to track scents into that area, and the area was searched for about 4 hours. We utilized drones as well as ATVs.
The search was called off around noon when canine units were no longer able to pick up a scent. Until 8 hours later, authorities received a call from a civilian describing what the 2 men were seen wearing. They found them along this nature trail on Castro Avenue, where they were traveling on foot for at least 2.5 hours. According to police, 27-year-old Juan Jose Romero and 41-year-old Demetric Antoine Capers climbed multiple fences to this Hondo nature trail, where they remained until officers found them and booked them around midnight to Medina County Jail. The 2 are facing charges of prohibited substance or item in a correctional facility and evading arrest.
I just really want to thank our community for reporting something that they saw on social media. We really want to reinforce, if you see something, say something. We're more than happy to dispatch an officer out there so we can investigate to ensure public safety as a whole.
Caber's bond is set at $10,000. Romero's bond is set at $15,000, but due to an additional charge out of Bexar County, he won't be able to make bond. Both men are at Medina County Jail. Reporting from Medina County, I'm Simone Simpson.
A cybersecurity breach has pushed back the start of the fall semester at UT San Antonio. The university announced classes will now begin next Monday. Rania Kaur shares what we know about the breach.
UTSA called it attempted unauthorized activity, and they discovered it over the weekend. Out of an abundance of caution, they took their systems offline. In an email sent out Monday, they wrote the activity was detected at the edge of their network and didn't make it to the core systems. Restoring those systems and getting them all back online, they wrote, is the process. As a result, students had delayed deadlines for payments and class wait lists. Tuesday, UTSA had issues with their password reset system before announcing the start to the fall semester would be delayed several days. In a message sent to the UT San Antonio community, University President Taylor Amy wrote, delaying the first day of classes to Monday gives everyone the time needed to make sure everything is fully operational. Adding, quote, university operations will continue as scheduled, with faculty and staff maintaining normal work schedules to ensure our students have access to the services and support they need. The university says their revised academic schedule, student services, and other updates will be posted online to their website. In the meantime, we're still working to learn more information about the unauthorized activity. From UTSA, Rania Kaur, KENS 5.
Bexar County is facing a $145 million shortfall over the next 3 years as it prepares its 2027 budget. Staff are not recommending a property tax hike, but warn tough decisions are ahead. David Lynch explains.
Bexar County hasn't raised property taxes in more than 30 years, but yesterday Commissioner's Court was told the streak might have to end sooner rather than later in order to keep up with modern trends brought on by the weather, population growth, and tech.
I do want the court to begin to consider what I believe will be major challenges that you will face in the future.
A sobering outlook from County Manager David Smith, who says Bexar County will have to find money for future flood and streets projects that it can't afford to ignore.
Could easily be multiple billions of dollars in capital need. I don't know how you would finance it with our existing tax rate.
He also referenced the advent of AI and says Bexar County will have to jump on board with changing worldwide trends.
You'd have to be asleep not to realize we're at least the beginning of a major technological revolution.
Unlike San Antonio, a county tax increase is not on the table, but it is limited by a similar budget challenge that comes back to one big problem: lower property tax revenues.
We actually decreased by 1.3%.
Commissioners Grant Moody and Justin Rodriguez agreeing the county should consider paying for studies on major capital projects and how AI could help the county run more efficiently.
The more we kind of kick that can down the road, the more expensive it becomes.
Now, there is a cost to maintaining the current tax rate. The proposed budget doesn't raise pay for county employees, limits new staff, and it places 6 programs, including one that helps domestic violence survivors, at risk of losing funding come 2027. David Lynch, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
Hi there, I'm Quita Culpepper in Austin, and we're hearing from a man who says he was attacked with a hatchet inside a Home Depot store in Hutto. Now, we do want to warn you, the details are graphic. It happened last Friday. Authorities believe it was a random attack. 41-year-old John Doyle Bauer of Austin was arrested within an hour of that incident. KVU's Brianna Perez has more.
On Friday afternoon, Manuel Vera says he came to Home Depot to make a return.
I got out of my car and I saw this guy across the way.
Police say that guy was 41-year-old John Bauer.
All I remember was walking in his direction for 1 second and then to turn up the aisle, and he's mad dogging me. And I just looked at him like, what's your problem? Or, what are you looking at? And then I just turned and And that's when it happened.
According to court documents, surveillance video showed Bauer grabbing a hatchet in the store, approaching Vera near customer service, and hitting him multiple times.
And I remember looking on the floor, and it was just a big old puddle of blood.
Investigators say Bauer then dropped the hatchet, ran out of the store, and drove away.
Police say the suspect was later found here on the intersection of County Road 119 and Chandler Road, about 3 miles north of the Home Depot. Family members say Vera was struck on the arms and head. He was later taken to a nearby hospital.
The axe actually broke his arm on the first blow. On his right arm, he had just a clean axe wound into his arm, and then his head, he hit him on the side of the head. He had to get 9 staples in his head.
Police say they believe this was a random, unprovoked attack. While being handcuffed, police say Bauer asked officers if Vera was dead and hoped he was dead. Bauer was initially arrested for attempted murder, but Hutto police say that changed to aggravated assault when Bauer went before a judge. Vera's loved ones say they want to see that charge stepped up. Vera says he's just thankful he's still here.
My guardian angel was there, okay? I have been in other situations where I probably should have died, or gotten killed, and this is one of them. It's just very fortunate to be alive.
In Hutto, Brianna Perez, KVUE News.
A massive data center proposed just outside of Taylor is drawing some pushback. Developers say Project Mustang would cover more than 600 acres with multiple data center buildings and its own power generation. KVUE's Shay Lawson shows us why residents brought their concerns straight to Taylor's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Driving into Taylor, signs line the road, including outside Connie Zika's home.
My neighbors, we are all against this.
She says her house sits directly across from where the Project Mustang data center could take shape.
I don't like it.
She's a part of a growing group of neighbors pushing back against the 665-acre project just east of Taylor city limits between FM 112 and US 79. Right now, this is a cornfield, but it's where developers want to build the massive Project Mustang data center. Developers Big Watt and Powerhouse envision a closed campus here with multiple data center buildings, mechanical yards, and substations. And unlike many other data centers, developers say this one plans to generate its own power on site.
We support the governor in this. It really reflects what we are doing anyway.
But for the people who live nearby, questions remain about what a project this size could mean for Taylor.
If it's underground, is it gas? Is it nuclear? Either way, they both can go boom. And that's way too close for comfort.
Now we have more land, we have more infrastructure to take care of. And our fear is that we can't handle that already. Why would we incur that responsibility?
Zika and dozens of others brought those concerns to a Planning and Zoning Special Commission meeting Tuesday night.
Property taxes, capital grants, and sales tax.
The commission heard a presentation addressing everything from air quality and water use to noise and infrastructure, giving commissioners the chance to dig into the project.
Are those lights? Is that fencing?
While neighbors put their concerns on the record.
We believe that zoning has far too long benefited corporations, and we really need to get back to the place where we know what we need. Communities and people who live here, we know what we need, we know what's best for us.
And they're hoping city leaders are listening.
And that was Shay Lawson reporting. Commissioners voted to revisit that project in 90 days, giving developers time to return with more information before it heads to City Council. Georgetown, Round Rock, and San Marcos all welcome students back to school on Wednesday. At George Washington Carver Elementary in Georgetown, parents and students lined up early because this year, elementary school starts 10 minutes earlier. This week, the district called for a tax rate election, and on KVUE News Daybreak, the superintendent told us it's a way to have a balanced budget while paying teachers and staff.
Well, our teachers have done so much for our students to grow them academically, and last year, we weren't able to do anything for a compensation increase. We have a balanced budget, but we're not able to increase, because we have no additional funding, we're not able to increase compensation for any of our staff and our teachers. So this election will help us generate more revenue so that we're able to address compensation.
Georgetown voters will see the proposition on their November ballot. If approved, this would increase property tax bills by nearly $8 for homes valued at nearly $450,000. The Williamson County Regional Animal Shelter is getting ready for a major expansion. County commissioners recently approved $2 million for improvements to the original plan, which leaders say will help the shelter serve more animals and avoid higher costs down the road. KVU's Brianna Perez shows us what's planned.
What's up, buddy?
For the Williamson County Regional Animal Shelter, the mission has always been simple: provide a safe haven for animals across the region. Now, shelter leaders say expanding that mission means making some big changes on campus.
This is something we cannot do in the future. It is something that we have to decide on now.
Before construction gets underway on an expansion plan first approved in 2025, Williamson County commissioners voted to use $2 million in interest from American Rescue Plan funds to make improvements to that plan.
I think it would cost us more if we don't do these things. So I think it does, in effect, help us.
This will allow us some breathing room.
Community Engagement Coordinator Leo Delgado says these improvements are a one-time opportunity to make the most of the shelter's space, cut future costs, and ultimately support the longevity of the shelter.
With this additional coverage, we are going to be able to add an additional 24 kennels to what we originally had slated, and it's going to increase some of the lifespan from proposed 10 years to up to 30 years.
Officials say the project will open up the walls here to their current building and go over this space, which serves as their play area. It'll add an additional 20,000 square feet to their current building.
Through community support and fundraising, officials hope to move the play yards to another part of the campus. After their merge with the Georgetown Animal Shelter last July, Delgado says the expansion and improvements are necessary. He says the goal is to make sure the shelter can continue serving the community for years to come.
That means that we're going to be here for our community who always has our back. We want to be that pillar in this community for as many years as this building will allow.
Construction is anticipated to begin this winter and is expected to take 1 year to complete. In Williamson County, Brianna Perez, KVU News.
And that's all from us here in Austin. Hope you have a great day.
I'm Adrian Carbajal. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A suspected gas leak at a Troy McDonald's has sent another person to the hospital, this time by care flight. It's the second gas-related incident at the restaurant in just 2 months. We heard directly from employees, including the young man who was airlifted to the hospital. A normal shift at this Troy McDonald's turned into an emergency Tuesday night. Employees say the problem started after a soda machine had been working on and off throughout the day. Jeremiah Idle says a CO2 warning light came on. Then he says an employee collapsed.
About 4:45-ish, one of the coworkers up front were grabbing a drink for an order, turned around, looked at me, and just fell backwards, passing out.
Idle says he and a manager got the employee outside and called 911, but he says another worker soon collapsed inside the restaurant. And then Idle himself started feeling sick.
I was feeling sick when it all started, but it hit me when EMS and everybody got there.
Coworker Logan Sturmer had said that he had only been at work for about 45 minutes when he saw Idle coughing so severely to the point he eventually needed to be airlifted.
And then Jeremiah's not feeling too good. He's brought out as well, and he starts coughing his lungs out. I cannot stress that enough. Whole lot of saliva. And then eventually he passes out too. And within the span of the next 30 minutes, they're loading him onto a helicopter to be airlifted to the hospital.
This is not the first time employees have reported problems at this restaurant. In June, 6 News confirmed at least 10 McDonald's employees received hospital treatment after a confirmed carbon dioxide leak involving the restaurant's soda fountain. Now employees say they want to see the restaurant closed long enough to figure out what is really going on.
Most people would be obvious yo, you just gotta quit. But no, that's not that obvious. This is a serious situation. that could even put customers at like in harm's way if we were to like serve the drinks from the machine.
That they actually shut the place down to do maintenance on it instead of just saying that they're fine.
In other news, after a water main break on Monday left Copperas Cove without water for days, the city is seeing some improvements. But in the struggle, the community has persevered, like at Jess's Juice Bar. They've been working to feed locals for free, trying to help people through the uncertainty. Jessica Ackerman, the owner of Jess's Juice Bar, said the free meal event was a last-minute decision, but something she felt she needed to do. Then more and more business owners, volunteers, teachers, and residents stepped in. The goal was to provide free meals to people so they could focus on conserving water instead of using it to clean dishes. So she fired up her Blackstone, and the city came hungry.
That's been coming in and bringing the kids, the whole family, and so it's a good turnout. And I'm just thanking every one of them for using us as a resource and not using their water so we can all get back to business, you know, and back to our everyday lives.
Ackerman said when it comes to Cove, you can always count on them to support one another and get through the tough times together. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. A new weather radar is now up in White House, and officials say it could provide critical seconds of warning when severe weather strikes. For families around Lake Palestine where a tornado caused major damage with little notice, those extra moments can make all the difference. CBS 19's Nayeli Carrillo has the story.
Within seconds, the lake seemed calm to just a raging tornado. It happened very, very quickly and no warning at all.
Michael Wolf, the general manager for the Lake Palestine Resort, says they are still recovering from a tornado that ripped through the area more than 2 years ago.
It happened out of nowhere. Recovering from a devastation like that, it takes days, weeks, years sometimes, and we're still rebuilding from that.
Wolf saw RVs flipped, cabins destroyed, and boathouses flattened. He says he later learned the area has gaps in radar coverage.
And that was the first I ever had learned of that. We were actually in a shadow and the impact of that shadow without any warning.
Now, Climavision is working to fill part of that gap with a radar on top of the White House water tower.
So for all of our radars, we need to be above a clear line of sight and make sure that the radar beam can actually go out into the atmosphere and return to the radar with clear view.
The radar is expected to go online in September after 30 to 45 days of testing.
We want our community, we want everybody to feel safe when they lay their head on the pillow at night and know that we're going to be able to warn them of any storm coming.
Smith County Judge Neil Franklin says the project has been about 2 years in the making. He says grants and private funding are covering the cost, so Smith County tax dollars are not paying for the radar.
I know that Climavision, as it comes to these, that they're not only placing one here, we're one of several that they've already placed in Texas, and there's more to come. So they're filling the gaps all the way across the state. So we want you to enjoy a wonderful East Texas, but we want to keep you safe as well.
For East Texans like Wolf, better coverage could mean more time to react when the next storm moves in.
Any better warning, that way we can get people off the water, into shelter, the safer things are going to be for folks.
A Hughes Springs police officer is being honored after helping save a man's life. But what makes this story even more remarkable, she's only been a police officer since April. CBS 19's Jamie Hazard talked to her and the chief about this heroic action.
We got the call on unresponsive male. It was out in the county, and I was the nearest officer.
For Officer Erin O'Reilly, it was a call that could have gone a number of ways. She had just been on the job for 4 months. She arrived to find an unresponsive man at a rural home in Cass County. And O'Reilly, the closest officer, headed to the scene.
I was more nervous, but getting out there and really, you don't really think about it, you just do it.
When she arrived, a neighbor was already performing CPR.
And then she got to the point where she could no longer do it, so then I stepped in and started CPR.
And she kept going until EMS crews arrived.
Being so rural, like the call she had the other night, it took the ambulance about 30 minutes to get there, 30, 35 minutes, something like that to get there.
Hughes Spring is a small city with the closest ambulance 6 miles away. But if that crew is already on another call, the next one could be 15 miles away or even more.
It also shows that we're not just there for criminal offenses, we're there to serve. Regardless, if it's medical and we can help, we're going to help with medical.
And for O'Reilly, knowing she may have given a family more time with someone they love is something she'll carry with her.
It's It's definitely a different feeling. You know, it's a great feeling. I'm just thankful that I was able to do it.
Her life-saving work could soon earn her a life-saving award and Medal of Valor from the state. But she says the award, if she gets it, is just the icing on top.
I'm glad that I'm able to do it.
For CBS 19, I'm Jamie Hazard.
That's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
I'm Mike Gillespie in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's making news in South Texas. Corpus Christi city manager now at the center of a legal fight over a controversial downtown hotel project. A local judge issued a temporary restraining order against Peter Zanoni, citing For Now with Elevate QOF in a dispute over a $1.5 million settlement. Now, Elevate, the real estate development company behind the Homewood Suites Hotel, is now suing Zanoni after he blocked the city from making that settlement payment. The hotel has been the center of months of controversy over a multi-million-dollar city incentive deal. It even sparked an unsuccessful effort to remove Corpus Christi Mayor Paulette Guajardo from office. Now, the latest dispute began last week when the Corpus Christi B Corporation unanimously approved a new settlement with Elevate. Under that agreement, the company was supposed to receive $1.5 million from the city within 3 business days. But that came as a surprise to city leaders. Zanoni then froze the payment while the city looked into whether that agreement was legal. In a statement, Zanoni defended his decision, saying, quote, City Council would need to approve a payment in this amount to this recipient. There's no city council approval for this wire transfer in the amount of $1.5 million. It is sound fiduciary management and within our established financial policies to not make this payment at this time, and that is supported by the legal advice of our city attorney and outside legal counsel. A judge has set a hearing for next month in Kennedy County to decide whether the order should be replaced with a longer-lasting injunction. Well, the Port of Corpus Christi is going nuclear, at least when it comes to exploring the future of maritime technology. Bill Churchwell sat down with U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy to discuss the new partnership that could reshape how the nation's ports and ships are powered.
Behind me is one of the nation's largest energy ports, and today port officials announced a partnership with the federal government to put Corpus Christi at the center of yet another emerging technology, that of nuclear power for marine operations.
That's oil and gas, now we're going nuclear. We're going nuclear.
With the stroke of a pen, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and Port of Corpus Christi leaders signed an agreement to explore what nuclear power could mean for the maritime industry.
We have to stay at the forefront of innovation. And the president has said we're going to have energy dominance, maritime dominance, but also we're going to dominate in innovation. And that is part of that movement. And we thought there's no better place than right here at Corpus Christi.
The partnership will evaluate whether small modular reactors or SMRs could eventually be used to power commercial vessels. Duffy says the technology could also help rebuild America's shipbuilding industry.
But we thought, can we take this in a smaller form and use it for commercial vessels? It's not being done out there right now, and we think this is the next iteration.
So what does that mean for the Port of Corpus Christi? Officials are quick to point out this does not mean nuclear-powered ships would arrive tomorrow.
The memorandum is essentially a statement of intent, an intent to cooperate to advance the body of knowledge around the application of advanced nuclear technology in the maritime space.
It's data-driven, so I need the data. Once we marry these two together, we want to make sure that we have the right rules and regulations in place, the right safety components in place.
Port Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer Jeff Pollock says for now the path starts with research.
Right now, the public will see nothing. Right now, we're talking about desktop analyses.
Congressman Michael Cloud says placing the Port of Corpus Christi at the forefront of the conversation is critical as energy demand continues to grow.
The Secretary being here and us looking ahead to what's the next thing and not just settling for where we're at today and making sure we meet the needs for the future. You know, just the math will tell you that nuclear is going to be a part of the equation.
Bill Churchwell, 3 News.
And that is a quick look at just some of what's making news here in South Texas.